Okay, welcome my friends to the show that never ends. Kieran's eating porridge and we at Peterborough, Liverpool at Manchester City, and I went to Wales yesterday, missed the game, but watched the band live that you've just listened to. We'll talk a tiny bit about that later. The other thing we're going to look at is 18 players' different roles on a football pitch. Yes, so that's what we're doing. But we're going to start with Wycombe smacking Posh.
Smacking is probably the wrong word, but...
Okay, serves them right. Can I just read something that was in the Peterborough Times about the game? Okay, now this is why I love it. If you're thinking I'm being a bit too enthusiastic, 10 points in 4 games, this is from Peterborough, 10 points in 4 games lifted Posh into 4th place ahead of a game at a ground on Saturday, which usually only delivers bad news. But Wycombe Wanderers were surely there for the taking this time. They sat in the bottom half of the table. The home crowd was small and passive, they wrote. Probably because their team hadn't scored more than 1 goal in a game since August the 20th, which in turn was most likely because their primitive, limited tactics offer few surprises these days. And then went on to say how their team lost.
It's not like it's a surprise when Peterborough turn up or Man City turn up. Man City have passed the ball around. Didn't expect that one. You know what we're going to do because you've watched our previous games. It's not too difficult to work out.
But most likely because they're primitive, limited tactics in a crowd that is small and passive. That's not very friendly, is it?
It's not very friendly, no. And I can kind of understand. Small, yes. But when Adams Park is rocking, it does feel pretty bouncy, doesn't it? There's not to say it is every time, similarly with every other ground.
How many fans did they bring with them? 400, wasn't it? Whoa, now that's a big crowd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're well supported, aren't they?
They should have quite a lot more than that, shouldn't they? Considering the size of the club that they're supposed to be.
Maybe they just all shout a lot.
Not that you're trying to...
They've all got big mouths with a lot to say. Maybe it's that, is it?
So you're grouping a set of fans together in that aspect. That's a good thing to do on the internet, Dad. Well done. You're now going to have Peterborough fans asking for your...
No, but they're not. I'm not saying they are.
You're just...
But they're saying that we're primitive and limited tactics with a crowd that is passive.
Yeah.
That's not exactly... I mean, how do they think we're going to react with, yeah, you're probably right.
True.
That's not very nice, is it?
Oh, are your feelings hurt, Dad?
No, I think it serves them right. They got beat 3-1.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is, of course, left over from the days of where Wycombe got promoted and they didn't, isn't it? And then they got promoted.
Were they the team who went... Yeah, say the team who ends up being 7th.
They've just come back down. They've just come back down and aren't in the top 4 at the moment, are they?
No.
So they're probably not feeling very happy either. But you can't blame Wycombe for you're not doing very well.
No.
Can you?
I mean, yeah.
They wrote also the crucial Wycombe equaliser on the stroke of half-time arrived after the hosts won 3 headers inside the Posh penalty area. The last dominant Posh centre-back who could regularly create distance with his clearance with head or feet was Gabby, who was at the game displaying outstanding punditry for BBC Radio Cambridgeshire. So they were a bit annoyed that their decent player wasn't even there. Compare and contrast with Wycombe centre-backs who dominated the airwaves, that's quite nice, with Alfie Mawson, an England squad player, not that many years ago, outstanding. He's still only 28, so Lord knows how he ended up playing at little old Wycombe. Unless, of course, budget sizes are being considerably downplayed at Adams Park.
Where are you getting this from out of interest?
This is our Peterborough Times newspaper.
Right. From an evidently quite biased man.
Just a little bit. Do you get that sort of stuff in the Bucks Free Press? Those sort of comments. I tried to look up Peterborough sort of thing on YouTube, but there aren't any except one, and he had nothing to say. He just sort of told you we won. He went, right. Wycombe won, and they scored the first goal. Is what he tells you. But I know that anyway, so not a lot to say. I mean, great, he does it. Good for him. But I didn't learn anything about how they feel, the real fans. I mean, this newspaper, load of crap. I mean, I just read that out because I thought it was funny, really.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they feel hard done by. Anyway, let's get to the game. More the point. Data analysis of the game beforehand. Now, this is important because people would have felt a bit worried about Peterborough coming because they're in the top 4. Yeah. The data analysis beforehand, if we'd bothered to look it up, would have actually had an hour before kickoff, having a look at which players are playing, etc., about how the teams have been getting on, when they score goals, etc., and how they're getting on, suggested the most likely outcome of this match was a Wycombe Wanderers win, with the probability of a 41.7% chance of Wycombe winning. A win for Peterborough United had a probability of 32% and a draw 26%. They did have the most likely scoreline was 1-0, but a 10% chance. But they had Wycombe winning, was the data analysis suggested, because of the way Peterborough haven't done quite so well just recently, and Wycombe were improving, which is quite interesting. If any Peterborough fans are still out there and not writing nasty things about us, that is quite interesting. Peterborough have got things to worry about. Wycombe, not so much so. Explain why, Kieran. You think Wycombe are only looking up?
You're suggesting that I do think that.
Do you think that? Take a look at the bench. Take a look at who scored the goals.
Yeah, people are coming back, aren't they? I mean, beating Peter, our home form has always been kind of our saving grace in kind of recent seasons. Getting a win away against Oxford was really good because we've rarely ever beaten them at Oxford. Being Peterborough at home, additionally, is also quite significant because we've had a few of the bigger teams come to us in recent times and we haven't really showed up. Whereas in this game, we evidently did. Vokes scoring probably gives him a bit of a boost, which he probably needed.
Yeah.
Mehmeti continuing to score.
Vokes was second on the top list of players, with Mawson top, Vokes second, and goalkeeper third. That ain't a bad lineup, is it?
The goalkeeper one surprises me because I assume you've obviously watched it.
Yeah.
Their goal, which was like a strike from about
25 yards.
doesn't look like it goes in the corner. Just
And
goes
he's a
kind of down the
surprise.
middle.
Can't really see what he could see.
No, but if it's 25 yards out, he must be able to see a solid amount. It looks strange either way. We may well give him the benefit of the doubt because if he's got a good racing apart from that, that suggests that he did quite well.
The interesting thing is that if you look at the last 5 games for Wycombe, we've lost, won, and now won again.
Mm.
Theirs was a 3-0 win, a 3-0 win, a 3-2 win, a draw, and a 4-1 win. The only problem...
Surprising that they had us as the favourites then.
Yeah, but the problem is, if you look at this, they beat the Tottenham, under 20, it's 3-0. They then beat Port Vale 3-0. And from then on, it was a win of 3-2 at MK Dons, who were in the bottom 4. It was then a draw against Burton in the bottom 4, and then a win against Forest Green in the bottom 4. They've been playing all bottom 4 teams.
Mm.
And that's where all their win rates have come from.
And we know how dreadful Burton are.
And they drew.
Yeah.
So actually that win rate, along with Wycombe's, we've played Derby, Stevenage, Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, and Burton.
Mm.
So, and Burton was the one we won. So those 4 that we lost, actually, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, and Plymouth. So we've been playing all the heavy teams. They've had all the bottom 4 teams.
We probably should have beaten Derby, shouldn't we?
Yeah. So in fact, looking at the last 5 is not actually true. I think they're not going to do quite as well as I think they're going to, which would be rather interesting.
Mm.
So looking at it all, then looking at how Wycombe got on, their first goal, as you say, bit strange, difficult to tell because we only ever get to see one camera angle, don't we, in this league, which is a bit annoying. Let's give him the shadow of the doubt because he has played really well up till. We'll let him go. We'll let that one go. Next, of course, what about Wycombe's first goal? Where was their defence?
Yeah, well, the newspaper reporter suggested that no one could head or clear the ball properly, and they didn't.
They had about 3 or 4 players in the box, all in their own little box. One Wycombe at one post and one at the other, and with nobody around either. But that was awful.
No, how McCleary was allowed to just kind of stroll up to the
he just
far post.
He wandered up. He could have sat down, had a bloody picnic before putting that in. That was awful. Dreadful goal. But
and then
we love it.
It was a ping up to Freeman, who set up Vokes' goal really nicely. It's an interesting one, Freeman, because he came on against Oxford for Gape, who was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it was him and Wing as like the defensive 2 midfielders, which would arguably be our weakest 2 compared to Scowen and Gape. And yet Freeman looks as if he's actually done really well. And we know he's quite good with his close control and all that sort of thing. And he did it for Vokes' second. So that was pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, their goalkeeper only got the lowest score of all the players, and you can't have that if you're going to do any good. I mean, that was what was encouraging, is we'd got the top 3 players for Wycombe were at the top, in the defence, and in the goal. Isn't that what you want?
More or less, isn't it?
You want to be able to score, defend, and save, and then you win, don't you?
That's football. There you go.
It's all well and fine having a great back 4, but if you can't score a goal, because if that's the way it goes, I mean, McCleary had a great game. Mehmeti had a really good game, and Vokes had a good game. Do you think Vokes is back? Do you think he's got a bit more?
I hope so.
So do I.
Difficult.
How did we get Mawson? Because no other bugger wanted him, did they?
It was because of his injury record, wasn't it?
Yeah.
His injury record is pretty atrocious. And I'm sure at some point it will happen this season where he misses a couple of games. But if he's going to play like he has been in the games that we have had him, then you take him, wouldn't you?
If he's the winner, if he wins half the games for us, we'll have him.
Yeah. Frustrating when obviously he's not there, but it appears that Farino has become a bit more solid at the back, and him and Tafazzoli is quite viable now.
It is. It is. I mean, when's Tafazzoli turning up?
Well,
because I mean, interestingly, Wycombe actually played 3 at the back.
Jacobson on the left, didn't they?
Yeah. I wonder if they just picked that for this again. He does change it around, doesn't he? That's sure.
Which suggests that his lack of tactics isn't quite true, because he is, because there's a reason why he's played Jacobson in that game, because realistically we probably wouldn't play Jacobson in many games at all.
No.
So there's obviously a reason why he threw him in there.
Yeah, I can only presume they didn't have any great wingers as such that could out.
I don't think they did they? No. Similarly to Man City not having any good wingers to get past James at right back.
Yes. So I thought that was interesting, playing the 3 at the back, and obviously Farino Joseph is doing a good enough job back there. I think he's got to grow up, and he's growing up fast, isn't he? I mean, we've put certain people to wing. We've put down. He played pretty well in this. I wonder, because do you see who was missing in that midfield? We've got Gape and
Scowen.
Scowen missing. Both of them not in there. So you've got McCarthy and Abita out on the sides, and you've got Wing and Freeman having to do that job in the middle. And Wing is normally a
attacking midfielder.
Yeah, and this time he couldn't be.
No.
He had to sort of give that role a bit of a miss. And then all 3 front players for Wycombe scored a goal.
That's what you want, isn't it?
That's what you want. Looking at just to mention, people talk about Wycombe. Next week, I want to do a thing about how to waste time, the best tactics everybody uses. Because I thought that's funny. I think you come up with about 15 different ways you can waste time. Liverpool used a good half of them today. But I wanted to mention that Liverpool game, because what I wanted to mention was they talk about Wycombe playing long ball and Burnley playing long ball. Didn't Liverpool and City play long ball football throughout the whole of the game? Wasn't that the whole tactics? Was the midfield, well, about everybody was in about 25% of that football pitch in the middle, and then any ball that went back to the back of that 25% was then whopped over the top.
the slight difference is that there's a bit more of a gap in between each long ball. So like the pass accuracies for all the players will be about 75, 80 for all the Liverpool and City players. Whereas for Wycombe, do you remember when we had a look at it? Most players were under 50
Yes.
because of every ball being a long ball. So
well,
of course,
accurate passes in this game was 59%.
That's so bad.
And that, remember, isn't just long balls. That's balls 10 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, accurate passing to your mate standing next to you is only 6 out of 10. I mean, that's not exactly high.
No, but that's just what we've always been. And somehow that's the most bewildering stat about us. What was it when it was Oxford versus Wycombe in the playoff final, and they showed like all the stats of like passes completed and all those sort of things, with Oxford being first and Wycombe being bottom.
But
as far as remember that being funny.
But the other thing about that, you see, was expected goals for Peterborough was 0.7, and Wycombe's expected goals was 2.07. So Wycombe deserved to win. I don't care what anybody says about that game. They can say how well they played in the first half, which they did. But in the end, Wycombe deserved to win. I'm afraid it's about scoring goals. We had 3 big chances. They didn't have any.
Not really. They're all kind of
not really. They were
chances,
really
weren't they?
angled shots, weren't they?
Yeah.
Where the goalkeeper should have it covered. They had no Mo 1-to-1, did they?
No, they did not.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot to look forward to. I think, with Wycombe. I think they are going to improve. Now, quickly looking at the table on how everybody got on, do you want to say any more about the game? We've got to play them again, haven't we, in the Cup?
Yeah, we do. Should we have a quick look at who we have coming up?
Because Hanlon, of course, is sat on the bench. And my guess is Hanlon is going to be playing that game to warm up. Yeah,
you would have thought so. Well,
no matter whether we get kicked out or not, that's not the point. So we got Peterborough on Tuesday. Again, of course, I'm at work for that one, but I am around now.
Thank goodness.
Finally got everything out of my way. We got MK Dons. We're away at MK Dons.
Yeah.
Please.
So our next 3 games for...
Yeah. Then Cambridge.
So our next 6 games are against teams who are below us.
Port Vale, Forest Green, Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And we don't start hitting... Not difficult. That's not fair to say difficult, because, of course, teams like Port Vale, Cheltenham, etc., they're not rubbish. That's not fair, because we'd be saying we're rubbish if you're just looking on a table. I mean, Port Vale, they're only 1 point behind Wycombe, for instance. Cambridge are only 1 point behind Wycombe. So,
but it is suggestive that if we want to do anything decent this season, which we've written off multiple times, the next 6 games are very important for picking up points.
Yeah, and in that we've got Cheltenham as well, who are only 3 points behind Wycombe.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
they're
all the teams...
3 difficult ones in that little box, if you want. They're the 3 6-pointers. Those 3. Okay.
I mean, this. Yeah, I mean,
and then we've got 3 in the bottom of the 4, which is Forest Green, MK Dons, and Morecambe, who are all sat in the bottom 4.
Yeah, I mean, from 6th to 20th, there's only 7 points separating all the teams. So even though they are below us, there for all those teams between 6th and 20th, it's very close. but these are the competitive games that we need to try and get points from.
Yeah, I think we should be looking at picking up 12 points out of those 6 games.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a fair assessment, yeah?
So it's 3 wins and 3 draws, or 4 wins.
Yeah, 4 out of 6 wins. Or, like, as you say, 3
ideally
wins, 3
wins,
draws
obviously,
type.
but
I think that's fair enough, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's going to take us up the table a little way. And the advantage with it is that puts those teams down the table a little way. So that's Wycombe's future.
I mean, yeah, because it's ridiculous. If you have a look at the table, Portsmouth, who are sitting in 4th, only have 1 more win than us.
Yeah. They're only 5 points in front. We've only got 10 minutes to go, you know.
On this recording. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, it gives us a clue how long we've got, really. Now, looking at how everybody else got on, interesting. I felt there's some of those scores. I mean, Derby seem to be improving, are they? Well, yeah. I mean, they won 3 out of the last 5 and drawn 1. They've only lost 1 out of the last 5. I think Derby is starting to pick up those points. They beat Accrington 3-0 away. Bolton and Barnsley drew 0-0, and I thought that one was a big game. That was 6th against 7th as they stand now. They both got the same amount of points. And if one of those could have won, that would have really done some good. And then straight after that, we got the Burton Morecambe down the bottom, drawing 1-1. And that was bad for both teams, wasn't it? I mean, perfect for Wycombe, but bad for them, wasn't it? Are you looking at this yet?
I've just got it up, yeah.
So you see Burton and Morecambe, the 2 teams at the bottom. Now, Cambridge, we discussed that before, how they're suddenly, they were sat there and we were talking how great they were getting on. Seeing they lost 4 on the trot now. Admittedly, have you seen who they played, though? Sheffield Wednesday. They played Bristol Rovers, but they played Ipswich and Derby again, and they've lost all 4. So that's from that great beginning. Everybody talking about, aren't they doing well? Well, they're slowly going down and down and down now. They're 18th now. They're having a bit of a shocker. Bristol Rovers 4-1 against Cheltenham. Oxford won. I suppose on the plus side, it means their manager keeps his job, which is excellent. We want him to keep his job. They won't do anything.
Yeah, it's surprising that they've stuck with him for so long, I think. I know we're obviously slightly biased towards him being a bit rubbish, but he has been there a while. And considering how they've been since the playoff final against us, it's slightly surprising. Now, but then similarly for us, maybe.
Now, MK Don was Ipswich lost to Lincoln, which was amazing, and Fleetwood lost to Shrewsbury, and Ipswich were at home losing to Lincoln. But MK Dons lost 4-1 to Plymouth. Now, I'm hoping MK Dons haven't sacked their manager, have they, recently? Yet?
I assume not.
Because we don't want him sacked just before we play him, do we?
No,
hang on to that.
Because we know what happens when that
happens. And
then
Port Vale 2, Forest Green 2. So Forest Green did all right picking up a point there, really. They can do with anything they can grab hold of, I think. They're the one team that might stand some sort of chance of getting out of that. I'm not convinced about any of the others. I mean, Morecambe and Burton, I think about it. I'm afraid. Have you got anything else to say on this topic?
Don't believe so.
Okay, I'll just say a tiny little quickie on the music. Really, 2 lines. One is, I went to see this band last night in Wales at some music festival. They're called Mostly Autumn. I have 3 favourite bands. One from the past, when Peter Gabriel was in it, that's Genesis. The second was this group, Mostly Autumn, been around quite a while. I think they are just pure class. They are my type of music. They were excellent last night, seeing them live. It's been a little while since I saw them live due to lockdowns and things. Hope you like this. There's tons of their stuff you can get hold of on different places, not on Bandcamp. They run their own record label. And the other group that I love is Porcupine Tree, and I'm going to see them in November. So have a listen to this. This is from the album Graveyard Star. Okay, here we go. 18 player roles. When it comes to job descriptions, if you say left back, that could mean so many different things. There are so many types of left backs. So, for instance, if I was going for a job and they said, what job do you do at the moment? And I said, my desk is in the back left-hand corner. That doesn't explain what job I have. It just explains where I stand or where I sit during the day. And that applies to left back, right back, centre forward, even. Explaining to somebody that a centre forward such as him and that sort of centre forward are doing the same thing is a load of cobblers. So we're going to look at how this makes a difference, the tactical roles, what kind of player, and you can split this up roughly into 18. We are going to name one into each position to have a look at the different types. Now, the way this was originally done was a data-based player role for scouting is used in a system called a Davies, named obviously after the person who put it together. This is sort of slightly stretching it. This is using data used by FBref's public stats bomb data over 5 Euro leagues over 5 seasons. Don't worry about all that crap. We'll just get straight on with it. This was, we're going to explain 18 different player roles that exist. And Kieran, you can name a player and name a Wycombe player, what their jobs do. Okay. And we'll start by looking at central attackers. Now, there's 3 out of the 18 central attackers jobs. One is a finisher, one is a target, and one is a roamer. Okay, finisher, explain, focused on getting in the box and finding shots. Target is involved in his team's build-up play, especially in the air or when the ball drops down. More of a goal threat than a creative passer, for instance. And a roamer likes to drop deep or wide to create for his teammates when he's not attacking the goal. So finisher, name one.
Are they going to be able to see this graphic? Or
I could put it up. Do you think I should?
You could do to kind of allow to visualize it a bit, but the obvious one is Haaland, isn't he? Literally just sticks in the middle, doesn't get too involved in the build-up play, and yeah, his job is just to tap it in and stick in the back of the net, which he's quite good at. And then you got your target man, who they've got up here, the Calvert-Lewin, Schick, and Skamaka, but I suppose Vokes would be quite a good example of being a target man. He does get involved in the build-up. He's got to win all the headers for us. And then a roamer arguably roams too much, but Kane, people want him to be a bit more of a finisher style central attacker, but he does like to roam and create for everyone else. So
what about Hanlon? he's different to Vokes. So does he fall into one of these categories, or is he a bit of a mix?
I don't think, because he's not. I wouldn't argue he's a finisher. Like, he gets involved in everything. He's not particularly a target man, but it's not like he's a roamer either. He's kind of very similar to like a Sterling, maybe, where he drops in to kind of get involved. He's a mix of all three almost, isn't he? Hanlon.
Yeah, he is a bit of a mix. Rather kills the whole idea of having 18 player roles, doesn't it?
Yeah. You have like, you could have ones in the middle, can't you? Like Venn diagram thing.
Okay. Wide attackers. Yeah. Now we have wide threat, which stretches the back line and gets into the penalty area. We have unlockers, likes to play field marshal in the opponent's half, big on crosses, switches and forward passes. And outlet, gets on the end of dangerous passes, but usually plays it safe on the ball. So wide threat, unlocker and outlet. Who's a wide threat, stretches the back line and gets into the penalty area?
I think the most obvious is Salah, isn't it? He will want to stay out wide the entire time and then kind of drift in to get goal scoring opportunities. It's also got him, Mbappe and Vinicius. Probably, I don't think Mbappe wants to be that. He wants to be the main man up front. Vinicius certainly is for Real Madrid.
What about McCleary and Mehmeti? Do they come under wide threat, or are they more one of the other two?
I think McCleary's got to be wide threat, because he's got a similar kind of role in terms of scoring goals and trying to create similarly to Salah. Mehmeti,
is he an unlocker? Likes to play field marshal in the opponent's half, big on crosses, switches, forward passes, more of a provider than an off-the-ball runner?
I think that he's a difficult one, because it definitely in the past he's definitely more of an outlet. You compare him more to a Grealish, but is he now becoming more of a Mason Mount because he's getting into better positions and he's scoring more goals and all that? I think he is more of a Mason Mount / Neymar they've got here, which is, I'd argue, a good thing, because I'm not sure about the Sancho, Grealish and Felix outlet role. Not sure how I feel about that box. So yeah, he's definitely that.
Okay. Advanced midfielders. Box crasher who doesn't touch the ball much except when close to goal. More of an off-ball runner than a passer. Creator, looks to break lines with aggressive passes, frequently central to his team's play in the attacking half. Or orchestrator, prefers midfield circulation to finding the final ball, likes shorter, higher percentage passes, not afraid to do some defending. Okay, box crasher. Now looking at Wycombe's, to put any, we also have deep midfielders coming up, but these are advanced midfielders. Here we would be looking at Freeman, Wing, or Obita, not sure.
Well, as a box crasher?
No, as one of these three.
See, I would
argue for this. Who's a box crasher? Doesn't touch the ball much except when close to goal.
I'd almost argue Mehmeti's more that.
Yeah.
I'd argue he's a box crasher. I think it's harsh that they've put Foden there.
So do I.
I think he touches the ball an awful lot more than what that description suggests.
Yeah, I think they might have wrote this in the summer, where they didn't think about it very hard.
No, there's a couple more I'm not too sure on. Creator, yeah, De Bruyne, Fernandes, that makes sense. In terms of for Wycombe...
Creator, yes.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily have a creator like that.
I think Wing
Um,
tries to be.
Wing, you could argue, be an orchestrator as opposed to a creator.
Right. Okay.
I liken him more to like passing it out wide to players and then kind of getting the pre-assist almost. Whereas the creator Fernandez De Bruyne that they're getting, that they're pinging in ridiculous crosses. I'm not sure he's quite that. I'd say he's more an orchestrator.
Well, these are then summing up all the attackers have to go into one of these roles. Have we named? Where's Freeman fall into any of these categories? Does he?
I'd argue he tries to be a creator.
Looks to break lines with aggressive passes, frequently central to his team's play in the attacking half. That's probably right, actually. Yeah, I agree. He doesn't have many shots, does he?
No. I mean, as opposed to trying to whack him crazy crosses, he's more of a dribble into the area and then get a ball along the floor into the striker. But I'd say, yeah, he's more a creator, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deep midfielders, box to box, defends low, but also gets upfield to receive progressive passes. Not heavily involved in possession, usually cautious on the ball. Then you have distributor, favours longer, more direct passes and switches, active in the opponent's half more than the defensive third. And what's that? Oh, builder serves as the main circulation hub in the build-up and as a stopper at the base of midfield. Well, what do you think?
I have a big problem with the ones they've put in box to box.
Name your own. If you don't like that,
none of those three are box to box.
They can't see this, by the way.
So in their box to box, they've got Camavinga for Real Madrid, and Ndidi for Leicester, and Fabinho for Liverpool, and they're all builders. Certainly, they're all deep line midfielders who are involved in the possession and aren't receiving it very far up the pitch. So yeah, I think that's silly. In terms of who you could box to box midfielders, you don't get as many of these days. Because we're always liking it to like Lampard and Gerrard kind of thing. It's kind of changed. You don't really have those sort of midfielders anymore. I'd say Bellingham. I know they've put him in orchestrator, but he's all over the place. Opinion. Gundogan maybe for Man City. You could whack him in there. Xhaka for Arsenal potentially with box to box. He is popping up now in the opposition's box a lot more. So that's what I'd say for that one.
Any Wycombe players in there? McCarthy, Abita, Wing.
Well, I think I'll leave Abita. I think I'll leave Abita for the defender ones.
Yeah.
Box to box.
What about the two missing?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of.
Gape and
I think they're more distributors. Scowen, you could argue, was a builder as opposed to distributor, but I think Gape is trying to be more of a distributor. Wing, you could argue, is box to box. Not to suggest he's brilliant at it, but I think that's what he is. Distributor, they've got Tielemans, Fabian Ruiz, and Kimmich. Kimmich definitely makes sense, and so is Tielemans, so I'm happy with that. Builder, they've got Rodri and Rice, which again makes sense, and that's certainly where Fabinho and Ndidi go into that box. They're the ones spraying passes from the back and keeping the possession and keeping it flowing. So
okay, I'll try and I'm going to leave this map thing up there while we're talking. The trouble is whether people can actually, see it really, because it's going to look very small. Okay, wide defenders. Now I know Wycombe have think they've got a couple of these. We've got an overlapper who gets into the final third, dribbles and hits crosses, would rather receive long passes and recycle them than play long himself. We have a progressor, which attempts long balls and progressive passes as well as crosses, active in possession at both ends, and safety. Safety stays at home, getting involved in the defensive third while not taking many risks on or off the ball. So the wide defenders, overlapper, progressor, and safety. Overlapper. I think they got this right. Reece James.
Yeah, Reece James, Hakimi, and Alfonso Davis for Bayern. Yeah, that's absolutely right. In terms of Wycombe players, I think McCarthy fits that pretty well.
Yeah. McCarthy is an overlapper.
Grimmer would more be a safety, I think. Kind of Wan-Bissaka and Pavard, not doing too much attacking, more conserved. And then
what about Jacobson?
Got to be a progressor, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, attempt long balls and progressive passes,
hitting long balls. That's his game. Obviously, they've got Cancelo, Robertson, and Trent. Trying to think where Obita fits into them. Maybe an overlapper. But the thing is with Obita, he typically is by himself on that side whenever he's attacking. So I can't really see him being too much of an overlapper.
No.
He might have to be a progressor, because I think it'd be unfair to say he's safety, because he does do a lot of attacking as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, did we name somebody in each? Did you name a famous person in safety?
Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, right, yes. Okay, central defenders. We have aggressors, likes to tackle and dribble, not big on long passes or clearances, includes a lot of outside centre-backs. Yeah, it does. Spreader, plays longer, more direct passes, will sometimes step out in possession or to close down in defence, and an anchor, plays safe, passes and does his defending close to goal. Okay, this is the last three places. So whoever in Wycombe's team you haven't put anywhere, you're going to have to. Aggressor, likes to tackle and dribble, not big on long passes.
That's been Mawson, I think. Yeah. But then if he's not too...
I'd say he was a spreader.
Would you? I don't think he's not a pinger of a long ball particularly. That's more Tafazoli style. I think Mawson does like to dribble with it a bit more.
Yes, yeah.
I think. They haven't got particularly anyone famous in there. They've got Araújo from Barcelona.
Glad you're having trouble.
Well, I mean, they've got Hernandez, but Flip knows what Hernandez that is. Trying to think of anyone a bit more famous who could be a bit of an Martinez for Manchester United, probably. Spreader, I'm surprised they haven't put Van Dijk in there, because I think he's probably the most obvious
He was a bit just too obvious, really.
Yeah, I
can't understand how they missed him out.
No, but as I say, I think he's more Tafazoli, and then actually you could fit the other Wycombe centre back into anchor. I think Farino is certainly a bit more of a safe defender, and they've got Delict in here from Bayern now. So,
okay, so they're your 18 places on a football pitch. Makes it a bit more, splits it up a bit better, doesn't it? To take a look, it does, I think, make that a little bit clearer of a Wycombe team. We've got lots of positions on that football pitch, a lot of jobs, different jobs being done. Do you think they're asked to do those jobs, or do you think that's just their natural style of football?
I think that's just their natural style of football more than anything. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then. We'll leave that there, and we've split up the football pitch to make it slightly easier when you watch and you think, now that is a spreader, is what you say. When your friends ask you, how does he play? Well, he's a spreader. Are we going to leave that there then, or is there one or two football matches you'd like to mention from the Premier League?
I do my
3-sentence job on all.
Yeah.
So start with yesterday then.
Right. Let me.
Yesterday's boring. Leicester 0-0 Crystal Palace.
Yeah, boring. Maddison cocked it up because he didn't do anything, and he got booked, meaning he's going to miss the next game, which is the last game before Southgate names his squad for the World Cup. So bit of a donkey. Looks like he won't be
Maddison the donkey.
Yeah. Fulham 2, Bournemouth 2. Surprising amount of quality in the game. Looks like they're both going to be all right in terms of staying up. Mitrovic and Solanke scoring, which is quite good, I suppose.
It is for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Next, Wolves 1-0 Nottingham Forest.
Forest are rubbish. Wolves are actually probably even worse. How they've won a game, I have no idea. They're looking at getting Nuno back.
I know.
They shouldn't never have allowed him to leave in the first place. So their own kind of fault. Spurs 2, Everton 0. Everton missed about 10 million chances because they're idiots. Spurs
time to
go. Probably. Along with Gerrard, they can go together. They should actually manage a team together. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Talking of which, Villa 0, Chelsea 2. In fairness to Gerrard, if it was him up front, they would have won probably 4-2 because Ings and Watkins cannot put a ball into the back of the net for their lives.
Well, we had Watkins like 2 weeks ago. We put in our striker box as bottom, didn't we? He was in Group E.
I think that game said exactly why. So, bit of a shame for Mount's free kick, by the way, similar to the goal that Peterborough scored against us. No idea what the goalkeeper's doing. It's straight down the middle, just goes over him. Leeds 0, Arsenal 1. Arsenal won again, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, 4 points. They're 4 points.
Yeah, they've got to drop off at some point, haven't they?
Well, so everybody keeps saying, apart from me.
Yeah,
again, it's worth stressing that we decided they were going to have their best season for a clearly long time this year. We said that last year, and
I think they still will. I think they'll finish probably second, but they will drop off at some point. Like this form is ridiculous. I don't know how they're doing it.
As long as they keep the 11 fit.
Yes, and I mean that'll obviously pop. I mean the thing is that after the World Cup, it'll almost be like a new season is beginning. So who knows who could turn up after that? World Cup will probably be a good thing for Liverpool.
Well, Haaland's going to get a nice rest, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he needs it. Didn't score today, but we'll come to that.
No, he was rubbish.
Yeah.
United 0. Other United 0. Newcastle, Manchester.
United 0, Newcastle 0. I watched that.
Rashford missed a sitter, which is good.
What a drag.
I feel sorry for Ronaldo's cheeky little attempt at scoring from their free kick. Because I was like, I felt like it probably should have been given. I think he was a bit unfortunate because otherwise they were just wasting time and it was kind of their own fault. But I'm not going to complain at Manchester United dropping points to Newcastle. It's all good.
Yeah. Why does Wagstaff or whatever his name, those brothers,
Longstaff,
yeah.
What about them?
Roof. Desperate. Right. Southampton 1, West Ham 1.
Good goal from Rice.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can do that for England, but he'll never get near the...
He played well in that game, I thought.
Yeah, he won't get near the 18-yard box if he plays for England, though, so that'll be a shame. Both teams are okay. They won't go down. They won't do anything major. West Ham doing well in Europe, so that's cool.
Yep.
And then Liverpool beat Man City. I mean...
at one point, I just wanted to go out and make a cup of coffee and hope 20 minutes went past. While I was doing so, hope the water took ages to boil so I could miss it.
I mean, that first 20 minutes... The first 20 minutes of the second half were just up and down like a flipping yo-yo. James was unbelievable at right back. No idea why. So Gomez at centre back was really good. And yet, like a couple of weeks ago, he got absolutely destroyed at Napoli. So it's just how things can change against certain teams.
Needs to leave the same team on the pitch for the next game, doesn't he?
More than likely, yep. Nunes, when he came on, wanted to strangle him.
Why doesn't he pass the ball? Why does he get caught offside?
No, his decision making is just... It's beyond belief in terms of how bad it is. I'm sure he's like... It's getting into those situations and he's got the crowd on him and the world on him almost. And he's trying to do the right thing, obviously just doesn't.
Well, this is where the trainer needs to come into play, isn't it? Because he's strong, he's good, he can get past people. Excellent. He's good at football. Problem is, he's always been the best, and therefore he keeps it. He's always fast off the mark and gets caught offside. He needs training on a football pitch.
Well,
doesn't
he needs training. He needs calming down. Because I mean, we could have won that game 3-0 in the end if he'd actually made the right decisions. Good to see that Pep got angry. Enjoyed that.
So did Klopp.
Jurgen wasn't too happy.
Do you think that was right? I didn't see him do much, really.
Definitely should have. I mean, the way he shouted at the assistant was not very nice. And he said it himself that he probably should have been sent off. But in saying that, how the ref didn't give the foul that he was complaining about was just like, what can you do?
What about the goal that got cancelled? It was a foul.
I think it was, and
I thought the ball was kicked out and missed the goalkeeper's hand.
I mean,
that's what they were complaining about.
There was 3 actual things that could have been looked at. One was that the goal kick that led up to that was the one where Edison saved Salah's shot, and they gave
and it went out for a corner.
So there was that one. Haaland tugging Fabinho's shirt. It might not be enough for him to actually like fall to the floor, but he still like pulled his shirt quite significantly.
He did.
And then I think the Haaland kicked the ball out of goalkeeper's hands.
I thought that's what it was going to be disallowed for. I didn't realise that they were going back one.
No.
Okay, so you're happy. You know he's still not going to win the league, but it's game, each individual game, and you do have Europe to which,
there you go.
When you smack City, no, I shouldn't say that, in the final. Yes?
Let's hope so, mate.
I don't want to watch it. Okay, with that, we'll give it a miss. Remember, mostly autumn. Got anything to say, please say it, as long as it's nice. And Paul's out of hospital. Good. Kieran, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.